are way...
Yes, good morning, Declan. Well, like what Helen has said there, and Mountaineering Ireland and the Uplands Council, there is a concern that after all the hard work that's been done over a long number of years to develop a network of trails and walkways all around Wicklow, and have, willing and voluntary participation and cooperation from both the national stakeholders such as Quilcha and MPWS and private landowners and farmers, that that this would in any way undermine that. And I suppose just going on from what Helen has said, and mindful of the fact that yesterday Croke Patrick's annual climb had to be cancelled because of heavy rains for the first time in years, and the underlying worry over there and in other places is erosion. And in many ways these pathways were put in not just for the comfort and safety of the people that walk them and make them more accessible for people to walk, but also to prevent erosion of the natural scenic area, which is, with the volumes of people that have been using it, which was a real concern as well. So, the implications are, following on from the judgment, if it stands, is should people be asked to revert onto the open countryside, which brings on its own problems, much more difficult terrain.
Well, do you see any need for change in legislation at all? Pat Dunn was saying...
There may well be. There may well be on the duty of care, yeah. That was the argument that was made by the state, that, where someone went willingly, there was, someone wasn't forced to go on a path, that they were well aware of it. And the reality is, when somebody gets injured up on these locations, they're generally picked up by one of the mountain rescue teams, who are totally voluntary. And
so
in other countries, just to make this point, I think this is important. In other countries, people who use who use the hills and walks for recreation have to have very, very modest and very cheap and affordable insurance, and some of that insurance goes to compensate the people for the cost of providing the service. Here it's provided totally free. So I don't know what the circumstances were in this case.
Pat Dunn was saying that from the IFA. Let me just finish with you, Helen. Are you encouraged that most people seem to disagree with the judge?
The feedback we have received over the weekend certainly has been one of shock and surprise. That said, we are familiar with the detail of the law. This one particular clause to do with structures provided for recreational users is somewhat at odds with the rest of the Occupiers Liability Act, which very effectively removes responsibility from landowners and land managers. So we can see where the judge was looking in the law, if you like, but we do remain surprised and concerned that she did not take into account that every walker has a responsibility for themselves. Accidents do happen.
Okay.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody else is responsible.
Helen Lawless from Mountaineering Ireland and Deputy Andrew Doyle. Thank you very much indeed. No doubt we're going to hear some more on this on future programmes. If you've got a comment, 087 77 11 103.
Over time, a woman's body changes. Some of these changes we can see, and some we can't, like cells changing in our cervix. And that's why a regular smear test is important, as it can